this is everybody has a hot take on this, right? It's not just about Elden Ring, it's about gaming in general. Gaming in general, especially the Souls-like games that don't normally have a difficulty options or a difficulty slider. Okay. Everybody enjoys their games in different ways, and there are people all the way across the spectrum from, you know, absolute masochists that just want to play games in the utmost painstaking, most, you know, handicapped, difficult ways that you can. And that's not me. That's well beyond me. I play games on the hardest difficulty all the time, but I'm talking about people that play on like hardcore, no save, you know, like no checkpoint kind of playthroughs and stuff, you know, all the way down to people that really could give no cares about any kind of even moderate difficulty. They enjoy soft gameplay, and they just want the experience. And each of those is great, and everything in between it is phenomenal, right? The thing about video games is that people get to play games and have fun playing games the way they want to play games. And I say this quite often, and this is one of these areas where I contradict myself a little bit, because what I say in large part about video game development, in my opinion, is that the more options that developers can give gamers, the better. But this is one of those situations where I side with developers on these games where they're bringing an artistic vision to what their title is. And it's supposed to be a certain difficulty. That is the experience. They don't give you difficulty settings because it's not meant to be experienced in any other way. All right. What's up, Axel? I'll take a look at what you're saying in just a moment. To get this sentiment out here first, and I'll see what you're saying, and then I'll read this. Ultimately, I very much appreciate video game development, the art behind it, in all of its forms, you know, whether it be the writing, the voice acting, the music, the, you know, graphic design, I mean, you name it, everything. And I think all of that encompassing is as a whole an artistic vision for what an experience is supposed to be. And so if a developer has this vision of a game supposed to be played in a particular fashion, regarding a difficulty level, I'm going to stand behind them on it. And it's probably easier for somebody like me to say that too. I'm not blind to that, okay? I'm not blind to that. So I am somebody that plays games on a very high difficulty all the time. You know, I play games on the hardest difficulty probably 95% of the time. And so while I'm not necessarily the utmost of masochists and playing like hardcore runs with no saves and, you know, severe handicaps and stuff, I do play the hardest difficulties almost all the time. And so I'm not averse to playing very difficult titles. So therefore, I'm probably going to be a little bit more biased about being okay with developers doing this. Whereas if I was closer to the opposite side of the spectrum, where I didn't care about hard playthroughs, I just like softer playthroughs, and I just like the experience, I would probably be a little more empathetic to the side of the gaming enthusiast community that wishes these types of games had difficulty settings. It's a tough thing. It is. And what's funny is Davey brought up something this morning. He was kind of teasing a little bit and just, you know, having a laugh and saying something about it should make Elden Ring into a Lego game. And it actually got me thinking. And while, you know, we all know that like Lego games definitely get altered to be a little bit comedic and slapstick, and, you know, they're not a true representation of, you know, canonical lore and the universes they represent and stuff like that, but they do give you an idea and some kind of experience, and it's fairly closely related, you know what I mean, in large part to what the world is and everything. I mean, it brought up an idea about, you know, what could be done on that front. Now, I don't really see Lego jumping on, let's make an Elden Ring game, or even FromSoft being like, yeah, let's let you make a Lego Elden Ring game, right? But ultimately, it is actually a kind of a wild thought that if they were able to do that, it would almost be a solution to this situation. It would potentially give those people that don't want to play Elden Ring for the difficulty and a way to experience maybe what some of that content is kind of like in a more fun, obviously less gnarly way, while FromSoft wouldn't have to worry about doing difficulty stuff, you know? So I don't know. It was just a weird little thing that came up this morning and got my brain kind of churning a little bit. I know it's not something that's really viable and we wouldn't see happen, but it was an interesting thought. My philosophy is either have one standard difficulty setting or go all out and make it so the game can be as easy or as hard as you want. Don't have fake easy modes that have false endings. If you don't want gamers playing on easy, then don't design an easy mode. I've seen it done a lot of different ways. One of the things that really irks me is the opposite side of that. Like I'll tell you, a game that I love in Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb had 5 difficulty settings, and I played it on the hardest one, and it felt soft. It felt incredibly soft. It didn't feel hard. And that's kind of the same thing, but the opposite side of what you're talking about, right? I hated that. Usually in the middle somewhere. Sometimes I'll replay a game on higher difficulty. Nice sight. You can always count on sight. Usually in the middle somewhere. Sometimes I'll replay a game on higher difficulty. Other times I just want to play it again just for the story and lower the difficulty just to get through it. One thing I don't like, making only certain story options available based on difficulty. Yeah, I think gatekeeping stuff based on difficulty is, you guys know I hate that. That stuff pisses me off so bad. On PC, I go in all the time and make changes for first playthroughs, because a lot of times on PC, especially on older games, it's easy to go into the configuration files and just change a number or two and trick the game into thinking you've already played it, so you can get unlocked higher difficulty levels or difficulty options to play, right? And so I've done that on a lot of my playthroughs. First time playthroughs, but the game thinks I've already played through one, so I can get a harder difficulty to play on. You know, I think I did that with like Dead Space games and stuff like that, right? Whether it be, you know, gatekeeping content like Ferret's talking about, or keeping other difficulty settings or whatever, I feel like I hate seeing developers do that. It drives me crazy, dude. You know, it's so gross. Nice, Axel. Cool, man. Shouldn't have a slider, but it should have accessibility options. Well, that's an entirely different discussion there, Vault. Yeah, I mean, look, here's my thing. If you want to get into that whole rabbit hole, you know, I mean, we can go on and on and on about that, right? So, yo, I own original collector's edition Demon Souls. PS3. Get wrecked, nerds! So accessibility options should, you know, again, what I'll say is we're progressing. We're not where we need to be in the industry, right? We're not where we need to be in the industry with accessibility, but I promote accessibility all the time. Yeah. So accessibility is very important. We always need to keep progressing with it. The thing that I really hate on the side of accessibility also is that you get developers who try to play this oh, we're making games accessible, when really what they're doing is including options for the player that should just naturally be part of their game development, like key mapping, key binding, FOV sliders, stuff like that. It's like, brother, that's not accessibility. These are default settings, dude. You know, do real accessibility stuff. You know, captions, yeah. Like, you know, like, get wrecked. Gatekeeping the wish. Oh, you're talking about the Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Yeah, yeah. RGG and Sega locked the. I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, locking, you know, content behind paywalls. I mean, we're getting into all kinds of different stuff here besides difficulty sliders. You know what I mean? But you know, we'll read this now, and you all make great points, but let's get into the meat here. This author says, I understand From Software's whole deal is that its games are meant to be incredibly difficult. I also think adding a difficulty slider so some players can use an easy mode wouldn't in any way reduce the quality of its titles. I know. I disagree. And Miyazaki has stated as well that this is not something they ever plan on doing. It would change what their games are about. It will change the way their games, you know, everything about what their games are, you know, and I respect that. And again, I'm a bit biased because I play hard games, and I try to put myself in other people's shoes in this situation, but I just, out of respect for the developer in their vision for what the game's supposed to be, I can't help but side with them on it. Adding a difficulty slider literally hurts no one. Not true. You're not seeing this from the developer's point of view, because the gamers who like the challenge can still use the default settings. Not having one hurts anyone who wants to play the games like Elden Ring, be a part of the conversation in the gaming community, but struggles with the gameplay. Yeah, I do think that's one of the worst parts about not having a difficulty slider. There are a lot of people that have a lot of trouble, even with disabilities and stuff, that can't play games. And let me say this. I don't think a game like Dark Souls is still going to be super easy even with a slider, dude. You know? So I don't know how accessible that's still going to make stuff for people that might have issues like that. But, I mean, you know, it is one of those accessibility kind of topics when you're talking about a game that is incredibly difficult. And there are people out there that want to access, they want to, you know, they want to experience that content firsthand. They don't want to watch somebody else play it. They want to experience it firsthand, but they can't, you know. But again, I mean, dude, I've got such a passion and love for good developers, good content. FromSoft is lacking on their PC performance side, so they've got a little, you know, they'll get a little bit of guff from me on that side. But ultimately, I mean, I think they are a good developer, and you know, I respect their stance on following through with what the vision is for their games. And I know it's off-putting for a lot of people because they're like, I want to play this game, but I don't want to play a hard game. I know it's rough to deal with, but I think you have to respect it from, you know, if you're a gaming enthusiast, you know, it might not feel good. I do think you have to respect it from the developer's point of view as well.